Ryan,
Yeah, bro.
what's going on, man?
Chilling, man.
How's everything on your end?
Good, man. Trying to make the most of it, trying to make the most of it as we all are, obviously no sports, no a couple things have shut down, trying to get back going. So just rolling with it, roll with the punches.
Right, right. That's all you can do. I want to congratulate you on your show, Seven Footers Podcast, opinionated Seven Footers Podcast or show, the deal with CBS. Is that gonna be something? I know you guys had a watch party or something like that today at 6:30, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, that's good. Congratulations on that, man.
No, I appreciate it, man. I think like it's cool for me and Brendan because we've always been the talent on the show, and it's different when you put a project together yourself and then you market it and you put it out, and then CBS gets behind it. So I think that's really cool to just have that freedom of opportunity. People don't. It's a different lens than you look through. So like it's cool for him and myself to do that, and then the support of the athletes that have come through and hopped on the show. But just beyond that, I think CBS is just having faith in what me and Brendan are bringing to the table. So like that speaks above all. Like I'm not taking that for granted.
Right, right. That's what's up. I know you've had a long day. You've done tons of shows. I've seen you all over live, whether it is your show you recently just did less than an hour ago with Brandon. So I'm going to try not to keep you too long. I just want to run down some things with you, get your thoughts on that. Now, your greatest, I want to start you off like thinking. What is your greatest college basketball memory? And what is your greatest, because you played at UCLA, a powerhouse, and what is your greatest NBA memory? Because I know you played on some really good teams, some really exciting teams. So I want to get for you, what is the highlight of those moments?
I say UCLA, my greatest memory is coming back from down 17 points against Gonzaga. And I say it's my greatest memory because I always look at like when you look at the character of a man, like who are you when your back is against the wall? Mm-hmm. And that squad would have followed Bozeman, Farmar, Bamute, all those guys. Like we got to find out who we were with our backs against the wall. There wasn't no quitting us. And on that stage where it's like win or go home, like there's nothing like it. It's not like March Madness, bro. It's not like the NBA. We're like, oh, like we'll see you in Game 7. Like every game is a Game 7. So I'll never forget that. It was a surreal moment, man, to say the least. And in the NBA, I've had a couple moments in 10 years, obviously, but I'll say one that stood out for me that was my most impressionable early in my career was against Tim Duncan. I came in the game. We're at home. I think we're 2-1 on the Spurs, where if you go 2-2 with the Spurs going back to their house, or 1-1 with the Spurs going back to their house, series
Where were
swings
you
it
playing
away.
at that point, in case the people don't know? Where were you
I
playing?
was in Dallas. I was with the Mavericks with Dallas. And bro, like I went off, I tried to dunk off the rim on Tim Duncan, block some shots, like just turn the game out. Like, so for me to have that type of game, like it was crazy, bro. Like bro, like it was nothing but energy, bro.
Yeah.
Like I remembered like blocking Tim's shot. I remember showing out on Tony Parker. Like I remember just being in complete control of what was happening in the basketball game, and like it was that like a playoff environment. Like you could feel the energy, bro, on the walls. You could feel the energy in the arena, bro. Like that game was insane. I made the most money in my life that off season in free agency. So for me, it was one of those. It was a golden moment. I'll never get, like, you can't simulate that feeling with the fans.
Right. Speaking of free agency, there's been rumors floating. Actually, just popped up somehow on my feed a couple of days ago that the Lakers were interested in you in 2014. Is that something that was true? That the Lakers did have interest in bringing you in 2014 free agency?
You know what? Like there is at that time, I was a young guy in the league coming up, and there were teams that had reached out, even like the Knicks, a couple of them, Indiana, but they're like, okay, we'll offer them a minimum deal. But it's like, bro, I'm trying to get paid. So it's like, yeah, I could have probably played, honestly, for any team in the league, but they weren't willing to spend cap on me. So when I went to Minnesota, that was the big thing because they paid for me. You know, like even Dallas, I was supposed to stay in Dallas as a Maverick. And Mark Cuban didn't spend the money on me. He really let me walk and ended up paying a couple guys more money. So, you know, I still need a conversation with Mark Cuban, honestly, to find out what that was about. Like, I'm still salty over that. Like, big ups to Mark Cuban. I appreciate what he did for me. But I'm like, you know, like my life would have been so much different if I had come back to Dallas that next year. So, you know, I think there's just, you know, there's a couple moments in history you got to look at. But the Lakers, there was never a situation that made sense for me to join the Lakers. So, yeah, that was interest there, but it was like, yo, I'm not coming on a one-year contract, you know, because then you're not committed to me, you know. So that's really how free agency went for me. To me, there was one suitor, and if you weren't putting up the money, like, it wasn't happening.
So, see, that's something that I've always kind of wondered, right? Because a lot of times we look at guys and we're like, why would they leave that situation? It makes so much sense for them. But the owner may not be willing to spend that kind of money on you. So you got to do what's best for you and your family. So my question to you is, how much is money the only, let me not say only, is money the biggest factor, or is comfort? Because you seem to really like Dallas, but they weren't.
If I look back, that was when I came to the Clippers. When I came back to the play for the Clippers, they put an offer on the table, like at a minimum contract. But the understanding was, we're going to let you play a lot. You're going to get minutes, and then you can hit free agency. And when I came to the Clippers, I played a lot. I did well, and I immediately signed back because selfishly, I want to be in LA with my family.
Right.
And like, it was a no-brainer. I signed back just the minimum contract, and I like darn near like got that deal done myself. And I could have went somewhere else and made more money because I had kind of earned my way with the Clippers that year.
Right.
The Pelicans had came to the table. They talked about giving me, I want to say like, you know, $5 million per year, whatever it was.
Mm-hmm.
And I never took that deal because I said, hey, I want to be happy. So if I look back, I'd have left the Clippers and I would have just gave them that 1 year, and then I would have bounced, got more money, and you can always get traded out of your situation later on. So I got comfortable with being home. But if I look back as a business decision, I would have hit the market, opened up, and saw if someone came through. But I didn't want that spot that I had on the team to be taken. You know, I didn't want to miss. I thought we really had something special in LA. And when Doc Rivers came, he pretty much played me a little bit and benched me. And like, that was whack. Like, he whacked for that. Like, I might as well have got traded, went somewhere and played and got paid from a business perspective. So I thought I didn't think that was right, you know. And it wasn't like a deal like, oh man, like, you my guy, I'm gonna keep you on the team for life. But it was like, man, like, I sacrificed to be here with you, and you know, it wasn't reciprocated.
What was it about? What do you think it was that had Doc decide to sit you after playing? Do you think it was like capital? Like, if he plays well, then we actually have to spend money on him, or was it just like?
I mean, everybody has different visions, you know. For myself, my type of game, I was a shot blocker, you know, run the floor, rebounder, and that's the role that I had fell into, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And he was looking for a center who could stretch the floor off the bench. So I didn't match what he wanted, and he was so set on his vision that, you know, he maintained that. It was crazy. As me and him had success before. So, you know, it was just interesting. Doc kind of, he'll work with you, he'll get bored, and he'll go move on. He'll do that quick. And then he was also in a tough position in which he asked for. He wanted control over the general manager opportunities. Mm-hmm. But the tough thing is when you're coaching, being a general manager does not always fit the vision. So now you're in a tough predicament where you're the boss now. So you get these people who don't necessarily roll with you, bro.
Yeah.
You get these people who aren't necessarily cool with you. How would I put it? You have to now be bad guy. You can't be the friend. You can't be like, man, if you want a new deal, talk upstairs. We know you're the coach making those deals, and then I can't even necessarily let my hair down with you. So I think Doc is in a much better position now because he doesn't have to do the front office duties anymore.
Right. Now, those were the Lob City Clippers, correct?
Yep.
Is there a disappointment that the Lob City Clippers never really got over the hump? You guys seem to be like one of the most talented teams that didn't really get too far in the playoffs.
Absolutely, bro. Man, that's something disgruntled to this day. I sat down with Blake Griffin on the podcast, and we talked, and it's just something for the rest of our lives we're going to stick with, because we all went to the Clippers to win a championship. Like, we didn't go to the Clippers to do anything else. And the fact that we didn't win a championship that's what killed it, bro. So the frustrations, like, it literally really it really set in. Like, and that's something like we didn't come just to be a good, fun team. You know, it's frustrating when it's money time and things don't work out the same way.
Yeah, I mean, the furthest you guys got, I think it was the second round, and you guys played the Rockets, and you guys had them up 3-1, if I'm not mistaken. And then they come back and pull this, and it was never the same.
You forget we had OKC down too. So
that's right.
I mean, there was a number of situations that you look at it, but like, man, like, if we had that back, that's a whole different story.
Is that the most fun you had in the league? Or
By
was
far.
it Boston?
By far. No. Clippers by far. It wasn't even basketball for a second. Like, imagine, like, bro, like, you're not just in the NBA, you're blowing people out in the NBA. Like, you're blowing people, like, you're running through the best teams in the league. We had a whole month. We just weren't used to losing. We had a whole month when we went undefeated like, it was just crazy, bro. Like, we were just beating the pants off of everybody, and then watching the team struggle trying to figure you guys out. So that was like, that was it, man. Like, that was it.
A question came in the comments, and before we move on, I want to get to that. It asked, who is your favorite teammate ever?
Man, my favorite teammate ever, I'll probably say Jamal Crawford, man. He was like,
it's been going hard for him for sure to get back in the league.
Yeah, bro. You know, I mean, because he could still play. That's what's wild. He had 50 last year. I'm not just saying that as like talking about the homie.
Yeah,
bro. You know what I think of Jamal Crawford of, like what you like what I always laugh, like, remember that Dave Chappelle skit?
Yeah.
Where he interviews Little John.
Yeah.
And Little John, all that. He's like, well, how are you doing? Like Jamal has neck tattoos, sleeves, and he's the most well-spoken, down-to-earth guy ever. Like, I got a number of good teammates, but like for him, he also recruited me to come play there. So
that's right.
For him, Jamal Crawford, like, that dude, he's so cool, bro. And I mean, like, it's every day, bro. Like, it's not an act. Like, to me, he's my favorite. He got a loud game on the court, but he's just the best dude ever in the locker room, man. I mean, to this day, man, day one.
He's the best dude ever in the locker room, but is he the best sixth man ever, as Kendrick Perkins has insinuated?
Oh, yeah, yeah. Look, Manu did
Williams?
it. Manu did it. Look, man, Manu did it at the championship level, but Manu was in that situation because Manu was too wild to start. And Manu can't go and get you 50. You know what I'm saying? Lou Williams is really learning how to play the position. Lou Williams has been challenged by Doc to actually play the point guard position, had a ball in his hands down the stretch, and he's delivered. But Jamal had close games and been doing that for a very long time. When I look at Jamal Crawford's skill set, he was really designed to play in today's NBA the way that he scores the basketball. You really frowned upon a scoring point guard back in the day. And Jamal was so dynamic. He could score on the ball. He could score off the ball. He's one of the most creative basketball players that I've ever seen. So when I look at Jamal, with the success he's had, he's never had a coach or a system that actually ever really knew what to do with him.
That's interesting, because we know he could still play, because his last game he put up 51. So
50, bro.
Like, why wasn't he in the league until, you know, someone gets hurt or people opt out on the Brooklyn Nets to get a spot? It's like so much politics. Is that what it is? Jamal's a nice guy, from what you tell me.
All I can think is age. And Jamal maybe didn't play the buddy role where, hey, I'm LeBron's homeboy, he got me on. Hey, I'm KD's homeboy, KD got me on. Hey, like, I'm Kawhi's homeboy, Kawhi demands me on the team. Like, I just think maybe he wasn't in one of those roles that we've seen guys like James Jones, Mike Miller, you know, like we have a good dudes, Juwan Howard benefit, or just like in the graces of certain organizations, you know. Maybe Jamal wasn't calling and working the phones like he thought he should have been, but you know, when you score 50, I don't care if you're 60 years old, bro, you should be on the NBA roster. I don't care what that basketball game looked like. It's incredibly hard to score 50 points in the NBA game.
Yeah, and Jamal just turned 40, I think, about a week ago, but he said he's turned 20 twice and not actually 40. So I'm looking forward to see him ball when the NBA restarts, for sure.
Oh yeah, he just has genetics, bro. You can't teach. He's slim. He plays basketball all the time, and he's creative. He knows how to score, and he can shoot the basketball. When you can shoot the basketball, that's
Right.
just longevity.
Right. Now, I watch your podcast, you and Brandon Haywood. I watch you guys every day. And I think it was about a week and a half ago where you guys were talking about a comment that you had made that Shannon Sharp and Skip Bayless discussed on air regards to the 2012 series when you were in Boston and LeBron was in Miami. That was the year after LeBron came off the loss against Dallas. And you talked to the point where in Game 6 in Boston, you guys didn't feel like LeBron would be the guy to beat you. So you guys honed in on Dwayne Wade, and that's when LeBron went for the infamous 45 points in the Garden, and then the legend was that it was never the same. What were you guys thinking to think LeBron couldn't do it?
That for one, that was the best defensive team I had ever been a part of, with Kevin Garnett and Paul and those guys, and you know, the Brandon Bass, and you know what we came off the bench with, because there wasn't an inch of the court that we didn't cover. It's not like we didn't guard LeBron James. As we didn't have the depth at the position to guard him, for one.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not that we just let LeBron go wild and we just like, oh, don't guard that guy. Now, we guarded everybody. We guarded everybody to a T. But earlier in that series, Dwayne Wade was the guy who got off, I want to say, in game 1. They ran mid-15, mid-pick and roll with him. He got to the hole, he got to the foul line, he scored. He hit guys with open shots. He really closed that game out. We had never seen LeBron James on the road close out a game like that. So we doubled him. We threw what we had at him. But we didn't think that when things got tight, LeBron in the fourth quarter was going to be the same LeBron you saw all 3 quarters. So it wasn't that we just let him go. It was more so that LeBron James had to prove to us who he was. And at that time, Dwayne Wade was the clutch performer, that the moment wouldn't be too big for him. Right. And you could see visibly in moments worry on LeBron James. You could see doubt set in. But when he came in that game, he was so stone-faced, so locked in, so ready. I mean, bro, he hit some of the craziest shots. I remember, like, we were double-teaming him. He'd had a ball on the baseline. And our double from, you know, Keon Dooling or Paul or whoever will be running over there. And before the double gets there, LeBron was turning to the sidelines and fading away. Like he was hitting crazy shots. Like he got in the zone, and it wasn't like they blew us out. I almost want to say we were up. We were leading going into the fourth, and he just laid play after play after play after play.
My buddy Emmanuel, he works at ESPN. He asked Ryan why he would go so hard at pickup games at ESPN.
Oh man. For one, I'm staying in shape. For two, you know what's really cool about the pickup games at ESPN? Like a lot of those guys that were playing maybe from the video or the film room, mm-hmm. and like they played D2 or played, you know, some JUCO ball. So a lot of those guys had played. So, you know, it's scary when you play with a guy who's never played organized basketball because they don't know how to play. You could get hurt, but those guys know how to play. And as I'm working myself into shape, like, I ain't about to let nobody run around with the name like that. Oh, I'll be Ryan Hollins. Like, you know what I'm saying? So like, you know, I would get certain guys on my team. They would stack their teams. And then, you know, I'm competing. You know, I step up a notch. They step up. Like, they will plot against me. So I was like, nah, like, I got to win this game. You feel me? Yeah. Like, I got to win the game. So after a while, like, trust me, like, I shoot jumpers. I would love to just stand out there and shoot jumpers. Right. But there's nobody else on the team to get a rebound. Right. So it's like, yo, come on. Like, you know, like if the one time I played with another big guy, you know what I'm saying? Like I stood out there, shot jumpers, you know, passed the ball. I pass more than I shoot. It's just, all right, like if y'all want to get crazy, I'm going to kill you.
Right. Right. To get back into it, if you guys beat LeBron in the Heat in Game 6 in 2012, you believe that you guys going to win the championship against the
100%. That was a young Kevin Durant, Russell Westbrook team. We by far we would have been NBA champs. you know, my career would have been different. I probably come back to Boston or wherever I go, I get a, you know, a decent little payday.
Right.
And even my name on TV would be different. You know, I'd be talking about, you know, being a world champ and who I played with and who I played for, you know, everything will be different. You know, nobody remembers the team that was almost there. You kind of like, if you're a real basketball, like, yeah, they were kind of good. I kind of remember that, but you really, in a city like Boston, you get forgotten. Like if we played for the Kings, that would be a different deal playing for the Kings. You know what I'm saying? But playing for Boston, you're not going to get the same credit of winning, of not winning.
Right. And you played in Boston with Kevin Garnett as the leader of that team. You played in LA with Chris Paul. Both guys are known as super fierce competitors, intense guys. Who would you say was the more intense player once the tip-off started?
Doesn't even compare, Kevin Garnett. Doesn't even compare. Kevin Garnett mentally is on another level. That's one of the greatest basketball players we've ever seen. Chris is like, Kevin comes in crazy, but he comes in with a game plan. Like, he doesn't have an off switch. Chris Paul is like, you know, you push him and he's a pit bull.
Right.
Like, Chris Paul, like, he's so competitive. Like, even when he tries not to be competitive, like, competing is in the back of his mind.
Yeah.
So they're different type of players, and KG can play off emotion as a big guy, where a point guard is always, Chris has always played the cerebral game. You know, Chris is about 6'1", you know what I'm saying? So he's always played the cerebral game. So, you know, his emotions can never just get the best of him, even though, like, he's, like, feisty. Like, Chris is a competitor, bro. Like, he doesn't turn it off. Like, it means something to him.
And a lot of people say that's a blessing and a curse at times because it can rub teammates the wrong way. Now, there's been reports or rumors that Blake and DeAndre and Chris used to butt heads. How real is that? Is any of that? Was there really a rift in the locker room between those guys?
It was real. I wouldn't say like a rift. I wouldn't say to the rift. I think when I left and Matt left, a couple of guys left, we were like the problem solvers, because if you don't win, it's got to be somebody's fault. We got to be figuring out what's happening.
Right.
And I believe there are frustrations there between Blake and Chris, because Blake wasn't where he wanted to be with his game. And Chris was to the point where it's like, if he doesn't trust you, he's going to go take his own shot. So we all needed each other, but we weren't in the right space yet. And DeAndre, he was still very young, coming into his own. So DeAndre got, like, when DeAndre went to Dallas, it was just a cry for, like, yo, y'all going to respect me or I'm bouncing. And whenever something went wrong, it was like, oh, turn and look at DeAndre and blame DeAndre. Or like, turn and look at him. Hey, why didn't you do this? Why? Everything wasn't DeAndre's fault. And DeAndre's very intelligent. So that started to rub him different when you try to look good by blaming DeAndre for something. And DJ's like, nah, it wasn't me. Like, y'all, like, I'm gonna hear that so much that I'm gonna get mad, I'm gonna get angry, I'm gonna get frustrated about it. So to me, that was the extent of the frustrations. Yeah, man, those guys love each other, but you know, it was just tough. And then I think when Austin came in, I think Austin was a heck of a player. It's not Austin's fault in my mind, but people felt Austin was getting minutes that he necessarily shouldn't have. And then that was a weird rift that went on, because now it's a power struggle where, you know, Chris was the most powerful. Now Doc is the most powerful. They had a good friendship. Now what happens when those two don't agree? So I think these things got ugly, and ultimately, at the end of the day, we all wanted to win. And then when you don't win, something's got to change, or somebody's got to change.
Right. One of the comments, there's a question that says, who was the toughest big man you played against?
For me, bro, DeMarcus Cousins, Marc Gasol, Chris Bosh. I've been wore out by those guys, and I pride myself as a defender, because I always come in as a student of the game to force you to one side or the other. You're a right-hand guy, send you left. If you're a shooter, I jam you. If you're not a shooter, I sit back. Like, I always had a game plan. Those guys know how to go either way. They can shoot the basketball. And then I'm an aggressive defender, you know, and I was a little slighter frame. So they could bump me, get me in foul trouble, Now I can't guard you as aggressive as I want, taking the ball away from you before you get the basketball. So Chris Bosh was tough because Chris, if you sat back, you had your hands down, he's going to turn and he's going to hit, you know, 6, 7 mid-ranges in a row, and you're in trouble, and then get to the foul line. Boogie's tough because he's going to go and create so much contact on the offensive end that, you know, you get in a, he puts you in a very uncomfortable spot. And Marcus Saul, you know, Mark is crafty because, you know, Mark can get into his whole bag, and Mark the same way. He's got the European style. He'll hit you with a right-hand hook 4 or 5 times, and then he's going to spin back in his left hand, and then Mark will hit the fadeaway over his right-hand shoulder. You like, that's a tough shot.
Yeah.
But he'll hit it. You know, he'll hit you with it.
Right. What do you think the NBA season is going to look like, as far as are teams going to look as they look prior to the shutdown, or do you feel like the way the system is now changed to more of an AAU style, there's a team that has an advantage more than another?
I think when this bubble gets started, it's going to be even better. Why? With no fans, there's no distractions. So, you know, when you see a player get sidetracked, or he's looking in the crowd too much, or he's celebrating, like, these dudes are just going to low-key just be hooping. So if you love the game of basketball, like the purest form of basketball, that's what you're going to see. Now, you have some fans, and I don't want to take away from the entertainment value of the game, of a guy hitting the three, doing all this, or pointing in the crowd and, you know, looking at it. Like, you're not going to see all that. So, like, if a guy gets a bang out or something really nice, like, a dude might just turn, bang out and dunk and, like, get back on defense. You do that in the game with the crowd there, crowd is going nuts. It's a weird environment. But now when you do it, like, for the crowd to get hyped off of a dunk, somebody really going to have to get bodied, like, chest to chest. Like, it's going to be like that. But you're going to be like, yeah, like, low-key, like, ain't no distractions. Like, they just hooping.
Right. That's a good point, that it could be a distraction, that you're looking, you know, for something to get you going. But a lot of guys feed off of the crowd. So it's like, for guys, when they go down and get a dunk, the crowd actually energizes them and put some sort of a battery in their back, for lack of a better term, to go even crazier.
Yeah, bro. Like, nah, that's a factor. So you got to rely on teammates. So if you got salty teammates on the bench that aren't cheering, like, it's going to be like, where's your energy at? But, like, if as a team in a organization, you guys come together, it's going to be fun to watch. You're going to hear you're going to see guys where a team like the Lakers is very close-knit. They have fun. They cheer each other on. Like, they've really bought in. And hats off to LeBron and AD for creating that culture over there. That could be the difference between a Kawhi team where Kawhi dunks and is mute. You know what I'm saying? Like, you got to create your own energy. You got to create your own energy. So that's going to be intriguing for a couple teams.
Should they put fan noise into the stadium, or like even for the TV watchers, or does it not?
If you put anything, you got to put music. If you put anything, you put music. That's all we need. Just give us an instrumental, give us some music while we play. We good. Flat out, like, we good. Flat out. We got to have that. But what's tough is that it would be artificial if you, let's say we simulate a Lakers home game, right? LeBron James gets a dunk, and, like, all right, like, we're going to hit for the crowd to get louder at that time. Or, you know, a guy on the opposing team gets a dunk and you hit the boo button. Like, that's a little weird. Like, that's hard to do. Yeah,
because it's not an equal playing field. I hear you on that. How do you think, who do you think wins? Who do you think wins it all?
Man, for the majority of the year, I really like the Clippers. But with this restart, I'm going to go with the Lakers. The Clippers are a team that wasn't even sure that they were going to come out to the bubble and compete. Kawhi Leonard and his injury. Kawhi is a guy who has to work into playing basketball with his injury on his leg. It's not a deal where the rest necessarily helps him. Now he's got to start that engine back up again and get to playing. That's a bit of a process. LeBron James and AD and those guys, they've been working out ever since. I don't want to say they never took a break. I'm not privy that far to the information, but LeBron James clearly has resources to work out, stay in the gym, stay in shape, and he really never took a break. Now, I can't say that those guys on the Clippers didn't take a break, but, you know, it was a really intriguing time for everybody. But now we're looking at a battle of nutrition. A guy like LeBron James, who diets and eats everything and does all that deal well, now you see the rewards where you had 3 weeks off at home and he's putting $1 million into a trainer working him out. That's going to help out LeBron James in this situation where a lot of these guys are going to be shaking off rust, for the first, 3 or 4 weeks of this deal. And ultimately playoffs could start and a guy could still be rusty. So that's going to be a really intriguing situation, but I definitely think that favors the Lakers.
Give me one sleeper team from each conference that could really wreck this entire bubble. Like that could absolutely shock a team and make a long run that prevents maybe the Lakers or Clippers from coming out west or Milwaukee out east.
Look, man, I'm not excited about Russell Westbrook getting COVID-19, but I think the small ball system, if the Rockets and James Harden and Russ can hit threes, they change the whole dynamic. Because now you got to play uncomfortable lineups. You bench all your big guys. Now you're asking, do I shoot threes to catch up with them or do I shoot twos? And Russell Westbrook is a guy, a former MVP alongside with James Harden, and that could be a very, very dangerous duo. On the Eastern Conference, I think Boston. And it's weird to say that Boston would be a sleeper pick, but you wouldn't put Boston over a Milwaukee team. But if you look at their wing firepower, they could have enough that can score with the best of the NBA. The problem is rim protection, paints in the point. And you look at a guy like Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown, are they going to take that next step from being all-stars to superstars? Those two are going to have to be superstars to move forward. Just being good isn't good enough. So those are two intriguing teams.
See, I think
What up, Keith?
I think Boston is a team that could really, really, really shake things up if Tatum, with the way Tatum was playing before the break, he was on a superstar level, as you're saying. So if that keeps up and Jaylen Brown's progress continues, I think they can be a really scary team for anybody out east and even out west. I think they could scare some teams.
Oh yeah, not easy, man. But like I said, like the way the game is played today, if those two guys get tough to guard and they force a tempo that they want to see, I mean, it could be special. And, intriguing enough, man, their best lineups, and I hate to say this, maybe with Kemba off the floor. Kemba Walker's a defensive liability. He's going to have to play that Steph Curry role where he scores every time he touches. We hadn't been talking too much about Kemba, but they may be better defensively with Marcus Smart on the floor. So, you got some real interesting decisions to make if you're Brad Stevens.
Has your stance on Giannis changed at all? I know you're not.
No. It's weird that people say I'm not a Giannis guy. I'm just realistic about Giannis. I thought the difficulty level of what James Harden did last year during the season was absolutely historic. Now, his team didn't have the same success, but he didn't have the same team that Giannis had. So he was the MVP last year. You ask me this year, Giannis Antetokounmpo is the MVP because of his consistency. You haven't seen anybody be as consistent as he was and what the team has done. So Giannis is the MVP. And as much as I love LeBron, I think it'd be an amazing story at his age and the level that he was playing at. He wasn't giving that to you consistently all through the year. I mean, Giannis is a guy who could be MVP and Defensive Player of the Year with his impact on the floor. And his team from last year got better. So when I'm looking at Giannis, I believe he's properly rated. I don't think anybody's saying they're world champs, but I like what Giannis is doing, but I still don't have him favored to come out. See, last year people were saying that the Milwaukee Bucks were the best team in basketball ever to come out. So when I said Giannis is overrated, I was absolutely correct. They had Milwaukee Bucks winning the championship, and they had Giannis as the best player in basketball, and Giannis wasn't better than Kawhi Leonard. All facts.
Is he now?
So people go, Giannis is overrated. Yeah, he was overrated because they said he was the best player in basketball, and he was not. It was ultimately Kawhi Leonard or a guy like LeBron James. And now you see that come true this year. Okay? Is he the best player now? No, but when I look at him, he's properly rated to what people are saying. And I still love Giannis because he's an old school workhorse type of player. So that's where people get confused with what I say. And to me, let me put this the best way. The way ESPN markets you, I give 1,000 regular takes on where I break down and say things. People don't want to hear that. But people see 5 seconds of a clickbait, Sean. You know what I'm saying? They go, oh, that's who you are. That's what you said. Like, yo, listen to the rest of the thing that's being said and then understand where it's coming from. People, they're not even hoopers. They're not sports fans. They get in their feelings. They look and say, oh, that's it. Like, no, like, listen to everything that's said. No, he wasn't the MVP last year. Would I give it to him this year? Yes. Or people feel like there's some personal vendetta between an analyst and a player, or a former player that's an analyst. It's not. You got a job to come and deliver the truth on what you see. You know what I'm saying? So that's the honest to God reality and truth in the matter.
You said he wasn't the best player last year. You said he wasn't even better than Kawhi. This year, you said you would give him the MVP, but you still don't think he is the best player.
Nah. Kawhi Leonard showed us that last year. He still got a leapfrog Kawhi Leonard. LeBron James, listen, he gave LeBron the business, but LeBron wasn't quite in shape. He wasn't quite ready early. LeBron James went out there and showed Giannis and Kawhi he's the baddest man on the planet. So LeBron James is the best player on the planet. He done took that throne back. Ain't no question. And the beautiful thing with those three guys, it was different than Kobe and LeBron. Or Kobe and Michael could guard each other. They were just too far in age difference. But we actually saw Kawhi, LeBron, and Giannis guard each other. You feel me? So, like, ain't no, like, maybe the numbers, maybe this. Hey, maybe the numbers. Like, we saw them play head-to-head, so we could say, yo, who's better? We could see LeBron is better right now. Like, yo, forget the numbers. Like, yo, like, he was eating him. Like, he was killing. Like, we could see it.
That's really interesting, because I think LeBron even last year was better than Giannis, and I think
as much as I could say it, LeBron wasn't having the greatest year. His team was struggling, so it was hard for me to really talk about what LeBron James is, because the team wasn't even on a plateau to have that type of success.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like, to me, there was no point where Kevin Durant was better than LeBron, but Kevin Durant was playing better, and he was on the Warriors. So if LeBron was on the Warriors, we'd be singing those praises. There's part of it where you do have a team, an organization that's coming with you. And LeBron James now has that, and now you're seeing who LeBron James is again.
2 second-year budding superstars, Luka and Trae Young. Which one are you taking to start your squad?
I'm taking Luka. For one, he's bigger. He can play multiple positions. Later in his career, if he loses a step, he can shoot the basketball, and he's big. He could play the 2, 3, 4, or 5. You know, if he's too slow, out of shape to play the point guard position. Trae's intriguing, but Trae is a small guard. But I think that the difference with Trae is, as it would pertain, I would comp him more to like a Steph Curry. Trae's stronger than Steph at that age. He's more physical, and Trae's a lot more craftier in the lane. Steph couldn't finish in the lane at a young age, but Steph was by far the better shooter. So Trae has a really, really big upside for his shooting, for his skill set, and obviously we saw what Steph Curry did with the Warriors. It's intriguing to see what Trae would do with another running mate, or a couple more teammates over there. But Luka, with his size and skill, he's gonna do that at 40 years old, bro. Like, he's gonna be 40 doing that, and that's pretty much, unless a major injury happens, that's what you're gonna be seeing, and it's hard to compare those two. And Luka's already in the running for MVP this year, until he got that ankle injury. So that's tough to really go with those two and have a big comparison.
What about Ja and Zion? Only one guy could be your cornerstone franchise player for the next 15, 20 years. Who you got?
I'm going to play it safe and go with Ja. I'm going to go with Ja because of injuries. I'm going to go with Ja. He's a big point guard. I'm going to go with Ja because he checks the intangible boxes. Tall, big for his position, jumps out the gym, shoots the 3 ball off the bounce well, and he's got swagger. So I got a safe pick there. Zion's more of the wild card because of injuries. Is he going to lose the weight? How's he going to succeed? How does he fit in the league? You know what I'm saying? Like, because right now the best thing that Zion does, we said the best thing he does is play around the rim, whether, let's say, group it all in one. Finishing, rebounding, scrapping for loose balls, nose for the ball. That's just an injury generally waiting to happen for any player. And kudos to him because he's working on expanding his game out to the three-point line. But if I'm looking at longevity and a cornerstone, I'm going to go with Ja because I feel like I'm going to get more bang for my buck. And that's a player with his size, athleticism, and stature and abilities that's going to last for a much longer time.
Do you think Ja and the Grizzlies hold on to that 8th seed for the playoffs?
If you're them, you got to be in fear that a team like the Trailblazers can take it. But it's so up in the air between those teams because I got to look at the schedule like, yo, like dang, bro. Like, I would say the Trailblazers are more equipped to see the Lakers, the Clippers, Utah, Houston, in those 8 games. There's no butter soft games in the schedule. The Pelicans actually had one of the softer schedules in the league coming up. And now you're in the bubble with everybody's a playoff team. Like, so, I mean, you're going to get a scrap, bro. So, if I gave the nod, I would say the Trailblazers for, you get a healthy Dame and a healthy CJ, and you get skinny Melo out there. They're more equipped to take on the battles and to do or die game. You feel me?
Yeah. Yeah, and it's interesting you say that because I just got the notification that apparently Charles Barkley on NBA TNT said if the Blazers went out that 8th seed in these next few games, they will upset the Lakers in round 1. Which is ridiculous. I mean, Dame Lillard has been playing MVP ball this year, don't get me wrong, but I would be stunned if they were to upset the Lakers in round 1, and I don't think there's any chance it happens.
Yeah, nah, you absolutely would be just because the Lakers are so big of a team. Dame would have to go. Losing Avery Bradley hurts because you gotta have someone and in Rondo that hurts. You gotta have someone to chase Dame and even CJ around. And Dame is a guy, just ask OKC that can ruin your season. So, I mean, that would be an intriguing game. But defensively, I got to see what they look like on the other end. You lose Trevor Ariza. That's another guy who guards LeBron. Carmelo definitely ain't chasing LeBron around. You know what I'm saying? So that's super, super intriguing to look at.
All right, Ryan, before I let you go, there's this thing that's been brought to my attention. I don't know if you actually did say this, so I was like, I'll ask Ryan. That's the only way to know. I looked on the internet. I couldn't find it. But your top 5 Lakers of all time. I was told that it doesn't include Kobe Bryant. Now, I'm begging you to tell me that that's not true.
My top 5 players of all time, I go LeBron, Michael, and Kobe. So I don't know where that came from.
Okay.
So for him to not be a top, like if you just talk Lakers,
yeah,
Kobe's you could argue like Kobe's the greatest Laker of all time. Like Magic started it off, but you could argue that Kobe alone, without Shaq, without Powell, without whoever, like Kobe's the greatest Laker of all time. Like it's and it's hard to say that by heart over Magic because Magic started it all. Right. But Kobe, he left his heart, he left his soul on LA. Literally. You feel me? Like he held LA down for 20 years, bro.
Yeah. Flat
out. With nobody else there, like held LA down. So I hope you can't find that on the internet. That'd be a hard reach. that would be a hard find. And Kobe is my number 3 all time ahead of Kareem. And that's hard to put him ahead of Kareem, but I feel like Kobe had the ball in his hands a lot more. So to do that, that's tough. But as far as just being like Laker, I'm from LA. I would if you look at Kobe's career, out of respect, I always would say Magic just because I defer to an OG. Out of respect, I would always do that. But if you look at careers, 20 years of Kobe pouring it all into LA, what he did, we can't even imagine taking Kobe out of the Los Angeles scenario, what it would be. Because it wasn't Shaq. Shaq wasn't gonna give you that for 20 years. No. But I'm a Diesel fan. He was giving you that for 20 years. Like Kobe Bryant, though, you could legit say Kobe did that on his back. Right. Kobe's the greatest Laker of all time. Flat out. And I love Magic will tell you Kobe's the greatest Laker of all time. And I love Mr. Magic for what he does for my communities, man.
Magic has come out and say that. He actually, after Kobe won the 5th one against Boston in 2010, Magic said Kobe officially became the greatest Laker of all time. So
because he did it, it was him. And I'm not saying it wasn't Magic. When I look at Showtime Lakers, it ain't no Worthy without But like Magic had squads, like consistently, like the NBA was different then. And just like Kobe's a different cat, bro. Like he eats, sleeps, and breathes it. Like Mamba was a Laker back in Italy as a young boy, you know what I'm saying, watching film. Like Kobe's different, fam. Like flat out. Like Kobe, like he if you talk about somebody like LA basketball, it's Kobe, bro. It's Kobe.
And he's your 3. Who's your 1?
LeBron.
All time.
My greatest of all time is LeBron. And I take it off the ceiling. Because Michael had a more dominant career. Bill Russell had the most dominant with, 10 or 11 rings. But if I'm going to look at LeBron, I think I say, like, hey, like, who hit the greatest ceiling? Who hit the highest point? Like, who had the biggest impact in different situations?
Yeah.
LeBron James. Pass it, shoot it, score it, big, you know, could defend what he wanted to. Was he as dominant as Michael? No, we're not going to pretend. You know, 2 3-peats, come on, dog. But I'm going to go with LeBron as the greatest. I believe that LeBron has hit that ceiling in different places that Michael wouldn't be able to hit. And no shot to Michael, but you're not going to shoot your way into success. You would have to do it in different ways. And I love me some Michael. You know what people get confused with too, bro? Like, my heart is with Michael Jordan. I grew up on Mike. I got more Jordans than anybody. Like, I done put one of them Jordan kids through college, bro. I love Michael. But I look at LeBron and I say LeBron is the greatest for what he can do. I think he's hit a bigger ceiling, man.
So
come on, kids.
Did your stance on that change at all from watching The Last Dance, or have you always felt this way?
To me, it sold me more that LeBron is the greatest because I saw the human side of Michael, and I knew how good, I knew how dominant he was, but I saw like, hey, like you needed Phil Jackson in that bad boy. Like Bron didn't have no Dean Smith, no James Worthy, no Phil Jackson. I almost looked at LeBron more like, dang, bro, like you did this self-made. Like you figured, like the first person you were in year 5 or 6 got with D Wade and Pat Riley and really figured out how to win, how to do that deal. You know, now hats off to Michael. Michael, a different type of beast, but you know, Michael had better along the way. He had better support along the way, especially once Phil got there. And then you have a guy like Scottie Pippen. Like, imagine that's like LeBron's entire career. To me, one of his 2 best fit teammates were Kyrie and AD. What if he had AD his entire career? Or the majority of it? The majority of LeBron's career, he had Anthony Davis. We're talking about a different LeBron James. We're talking about different championships. We're talking about LeBron never leaving Cleveland or Miami. Let's say if he and Dwayne Wade were the same age, you know what I'm saying? Like, we're talking about a different situation. He and Kyrie, and to me, he and Kyrie are more of a fit because Kyrie's more of a natural shooter. While Kyrie's small, he's big. They're 2 different players. So I don't want to say that I'm taking that from Michael's legacy, but I want to say I look at these, I look at that through a clear lens.
Someone said, what if MJ had Shaq? Well, LeBron didn't have Shaq either. What if LeBron had
man, if MJ had Shaq, boy.
What if LeBron had prime Shaq? Or what if
Shaq just broke so many rules because Shaq missed free throws, but Shaq had like 40 and 20, and he fouled out your whole front line. So like you could miss as many free throws as you wanted. You feel me? Like the way that Shaq played.
Yeah, you said Kobe did it. Kobe won 5 of them things. All right, Ryan, tell the people where they can catch your show, the times and all of that so they can know exactly how to get to you.
Look, man, the biggest thing you can do for myself in the Opinionated Podcast, go to the Opinionated 7-Footers on YouTube. Like, follow, subscribe. Hit that subscribe button. And if you've already subscribed, tell somebody else. Check us out on CBS, man. We need that support, man. They're giving us the opportunity of a lifetime, bro. So watch that show or go back, watch the rerun, TiVo it, whatever, give reviews, whatever, and check us out on CBS Sports. We come on Thursdays at 6:30 Eastern time. And then also, you know, support the lives. You know, me and Brendan Haywood, we just joke and we laugh and we have a lot of fun during those lives, man. So you guys supporting, honestly, it means the world to myself and Brendan and our families more than that. But like, We're trying to build something, man. And Sean, like, it frustrates me when people, they give this entitled vision of myself when they see me on First Take or ESPN or somewhere. Like, why is he there? Why does he deserve that? Like, bro, because I work my butt off. I'm not an NBA All-Star. I never started as a journalist. Like, I fought hard to learn how to do what I do. So you got to understand where I'm coming from, bro. Like, I grew up with nothing. So to learn how to broadcasting, learn to be a journalist, to do these things, man, like, that was incredibly, incredibly hard for myself, you know, for every player. I didn't go, man, stop it, 1099. I didn't go into a deal where, like, it was like spoon fed for me, like low, but like, I grind, dog. Like, I grind to do that, man. God is amazing. I grind to do that, man. So I think people need to know that story, man. Like, nothing is handed, man. And I always feel like I'm closer to the guy at home than to the guy in the NBA. Like, I wasn't no 5-star recruit. You feel me? You know what I'm saying? I wasn't no like big McDonald's All-American. Like, bro, like, I had to go get that deal. Like, I had to scrap I had to dive on the floor for 10 years in the league. You know what I'm saying? Like, so I need people to know that. That's where I'm coming from, man. But I appreciate all the people like you, man, all the people who support, who are down, who listen, and who don't get caught up in clickbait and actually take the time to you know what I'm saying, to come and hear, like, yo, Ryan Hollins is dope. Like, I hear what he got to say. Because all those fans, we want to see a player keep it real with us, keep it real with us. When someone kept it real with you, some of y'all didn't want to hear that, you know?
Right. No doubt. You can't help but respect the grind, because as you said, journalism is not something that you came up on or cared for. So it's like learning a whole new career. Like,
new, bro.
I play basketball now. I got to learn how to do this stuff on TV and have it's so much pressure also to just know whatever you say could be scrutinized and the clickbait.
You know how they say, hey Sean, like, you know how they say, like, somebody breaks their leg or they get paralyzed and then, like, they learn how to walk again, one foot in front of the other, like going into broadcasting, like, I had to learn how to walk, if that makes sense.
Right. And you're doing your thing, man, and I commend you, because you don't owe me a thing. Like, we've never personally known each other.
Nah, bro, ain't what it's about for me.
You show nothing but love. You've supported, and bro, that's everything that I need to say thank you for. Appreciate you, bro.
Anything you need, bro. Anything you need, Mo. That's the type of cat I am, man. Shout out my dog Sosa in here doing it, man. But like that's how I am, because you come at me the right way. Like, I do everybody's events, bro, because I would want that same respect. You feel me? I can't just do everything. So sometimes cats just, do my podcast. Like, I can't do everybody deal, but like bro, bro, show respect. He down. Like, it ain't no like day one. Like bro, like, if I'm popping on First Take and Sean, you hit me, hey, right. Like, we've been rapping for a long time. So I'm like, nah, like, that's my dude. Like, cool, let's rap. Like, it wasn't no like, oh, he's not popular, I'm not hitting him up. It's like, nah, you rocking with the stuff going on, you know? So that's why I'm like, nah, Sean, you need something, bro? Like, let's rock. Let's rock.
Appreciate it, brother, man. Appreciate it. We'll definitely be in touch, man. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your night. God bless, brother.
Kill it, my dude. Appreciate you, man.
You got it.
Sosa, what up, dog? Welder, what up? Keith, what up, boy?